Um, I was working on this project called The Slew a few years ago in 2009, and it was kind of a rock project, I guess. We had the rhythm section from Wolf Mother on tour with us, Chris Ross, Miles Heskett, bass drums, and then DJ Pila from New York and myself on 6 turntables. And that's kind of when I, you know, realized that not only rock but hip hop and jazz and all these forms of music that I like have this one style of music in common. Like blues birthed all those genres, and I thought, yeah, it'd be fun to kind of take a swing at that form with turntables, see if I could bring it there. One of my favorite musicians of all time is Louis Armstrong, Billie Holiday, Ella, Thelonious Monk. And when you look at Louis Armstrong's catalog, he's done 16,000 blues. Like there's so many blues that he's done. That was more in the jazz idiom, but when I always knew there was a link there, and then as I started connecting the dots back in time, I realized that the stuff that was happening in the Mississippi Delta, like that music was great. Charlie Patton, Son House. It's just super potent music. Just really kind of visceral, dangerous, like no safety net, one man band, just energy, just pure performance, and loved it. Yeah. Yeah. Well, I didn't want it to be gridded up or sequenced. I didn't want anything to sort of be done for me in a sense. So when I played the drums, kick, snare, hi-hat, I played on the SP1200, but for 4 minutes until my hands got tired, and then that was it. It's like, yeah, that'll be the drum track, you know what I mean? But because of that, there's that drift. There's that kind of, that groove shift from when you play things live. It's like if you have 2 copies of something on a turntable and you're just recuing and going back and forth and trying to do a loop that way. It's not always a perfect loop. There's something, sometimes it'll rush a bit, sometimes it's a bit behind, but I don't know, there's this sort of fun kind of human element there that I wanted to maintain on this album that I definitely heard in all those old blues recordings as well. They weren't playing the metronomes necessarily. They would speed up, drop bars, add beats every now and then. Sometimes I'd forget like the next verse and just keep stomping their foot until it came to them, and then they'd rip right into it. And that was the recording. It was recorded direct to disc. There was no sort of idea of just going back and fixing it later. It's like, no, this is it. Let's do it. Yeah, I like that engine. I'm always looking for that moment, that eureka moment in the studio where you surprise yourself, because I've been playing these things for more than 20 years now, you know what I mean? But sometimes it'll be the weirdest thing, like a needle will skip, but then how you recover, you create this new rhythm or this new, melody by accident, and then you're like, oh, how did I do that? I got to practice that now, and so it kind of leads you in these sort of new adventures, and I think that's really part of any of my recording process. I'm always looking for that moment, the moment that you didn't, expect, but it was just that magic thing. It was like, oh, no, that's the take. We got to keep it. You know what I mean?
Reach up, reach high, 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 reach up, reach high. Now reach up, reach high, 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 reach up, reach high.
My first few albums, I kind of made almost headphone records. The Carpal Tunnel Syndrome to me sort of belonged, possibly in the comedy section next to a Monty Python album or a Cheech and Chong record. I felt like it would have been more comfortable there, but instead it was placed in, the dance section, which I have no idea what it's doing there. It's still there now. I see it in that section now in record stores these days. Earlier on, I did make a name for myself in a live perspective as a party or club sort of performer. And when I was in the studio, you don't have that same motivation necessarily. If it's snowing outside, it's Montreal, it's minus 40 degrees, sometimes you don't feel like making dance, or you try to make a headphone record, make something that cracks you up or something like that. So the conflict was always, I would go rock this part. Okay, here we're launching this album, which is essentially a record I recorded in the winter with a bunch of, comedy snippets or stuff that's more inspired by a Woody Allen movie than a dance floor record or for something. And then, so then they'd do that, and then the kids would pick up the record and go home. He's really confused as to like where the line was, And so, more and more, I've always been trying to, when it's release time for a record, to see if I can design a show that can sort of frame contextually this music, but in a live context that's also entertaining and perhaps more of a spectacle. Vaudeville, again, blues. We're heading back to like the roots of live entertainment here, and trying to work with forms. Like I have a troupe of dancing girls with me who have choreographed certain things for certain songs, and also puppets and puppeteers, and essentially it's a variety show. So every song has its own act, so to speak, and with all their costume changes and running around. And I'm up here putting the music together, because that's my job, really, you know what I mean? And for the kids that are into that, we have that shown on the screens with cameras so they can, see how all the technical side of it. But for the people that don't really care about that side of it and want to see it, a show, we have these different acts that happen throughout the show, and the point is for it to start already fun and silly and just get progressively funnier and sillier as the night progresses.
Everybody, let's make some space. Let's make a big circle in the middle of the dance floor, because you know what time it is. Make some space. It's limbo time. Hey, everybody. How low can you go, Toronto? How low can you go? Yeah, shake those